It's a great topic, isn't it?
Is it? I don't know.
You got Sean Connery in the job track. You got
everyone knows that, but I feel like with Zardoz,
you got the guy going. Whoa. It's got everything. Do you remember?
I don't remember that guy. I remember a lot of kind of like wavy hands, but I remember. Whoa.
I know what May wants with it. No.
But then again, I go into a kind of a sort of I don't want to say a panic state, but my mind does switch off when I've watched this movie. I've watched this 2.5 times
when I start this
now.
podcast, I thought you were going to say, "Oh fuck the podcast! Oh, I'll just switch my mind off. It'll be fine."
Oh well, I was going to say that, but I thought it might be a bit too on the nose, a bit unfair.
Yeah, we'll just start this podcast by going, "Hi everybody, we're stupid."
Goodbye. But stretch it out for at least 40 minutes.
Yeah, I think we did a 30-minute one. And I'm sure people don't realise, but actually we only recorded 25 minutes and I just stretched it out. Like literally, we speak like that in that podcast. No one noticed.
Oh no, I think there was just dead air for like the last 5-10 minutes of you just grunting into the mic like...
Here's a sound which will make your skin crawl. It's the 90s.
You said that you were so ashamed. Like, it's the 90s. You remember? You really shied away from the mic for that one.
Yeah.
You know, the thing.
Damian, Zardoz.
Yes.
Do you remember Zardoz?
I remember Zardoz.
You do?
Oh, dear.
Well, what I was going to say was, do you want to tell people how we both were introduced to Zardoz?
We were fucking shit-faced because... Well, I mean,
we watched everything shit-faced, didn't we, then?
Yes, yeah.
Unlike now.
No, of course, perish the thought. We are adults.
Yeah.
We don't do that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I just watch it in misery now.
Yeah, sensible caps and cups of tea. No, we sat... we sat down to watch it shit-faced, and obviously we tracked it down because everyone knows that it's almost an iconic image of... Sean Connery on the beach in the mankini with the gun belt.
I didn't know anything about this. I remember I was sitting watching Video Game High School barefoot, eating my gruel, and you ran in and went, "Do you want to watch a movie where Sean Connery wears a jockstrap for all of the movie?" And I said, "But how do we know?" And you said, "He's not wearing any trousers." And I said, "No trousers." And you said, "Yeah, it's called Zardoz." And I went, "Oh my God, speak to me."
Zardoz speaks to you.
I've lost the ability to listen to anything after you mentioned Video Game High School. I went down into a very, very deep well there.
Yeah.
I've just got images of Shockbot flashing up in my eyes, and I don't know. There are palpitations, man. Palpitations.
I've often thought why we haven't done Video Game High School yet, and I think it's because, we're really saving that. For something, right? Aren't we?
Yeah, I don't know.
And I can't remember much.
I don't think it's we're not saving it for the fucking podcast. I think we're saving it for like a dual suicide or something like that.
So I've just sent you a little bit of little bit of artwork there. This was sent to me by a long-time listener and drawer, Max, who has drawn me as the head in Art Attack, looking very longingly at Neil Buchanan. Nice teeth there, Neil. And it made me think of Zardoz. That's what Zardoz was, wasn't he? He was a papier-mâché head.
Yes, but an exquisite one.
Yeah.
I don't know, am I just being crazy? It kind of feels like that chin was modelled after my own. Have I been drawn in Neil Buchanan's image there, or am I just crawling up my own ass there? Because that looks like how I feel when I laugh. Oh, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Who drew that?
That's Max as well.
Oh, really? Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. Or is he tracing? No, I won't shit on the man. It's fine.
Well, if it doesn't matter if he's tracing. What he's chosen to do with the tracing is what counts. I don't care how he achieved it.
No, that is fucking awesome. It is that is somewhat of a fucking nightmare, though. If I woke up and that was my fucking existence.
So obviously, anyone who can't see this, if they're just listening to this like a normal person, someone has drawn Damien and I as Zaphod Beeblebrox, which would be the head that's asleep. It'd be you.
Yeah, no, I
Go
feel
back,
that way.
Go back to sleep. Smoke on this. It's just a gun.
Oh man, that's my new wallpaper. I love that.
If one of
That's
us died,
fucking awesome.
would the other one die?
I don't know.
I know with the original Siamese Twins, who were, I think they were actually from, what would the country be called? Siamama.
Yes, yeah, that's exactly.
Siamama.
Siamamanolia.
Those two salamis from Siamama, they were attached by a very small flap of skin, I think around about the midriff. And
Ooh.
yeah. And
Saucy.
one of them had a heart attack late in life, about 60, and then the other one died within half an hour because they shared the same blood circulation. So, one died and then the blood just stopped flowing into the other guy and he died. And like all the drawings I've seen of them, it really is like you could just get a fucking sword and just split them in half, and it would hurt, but they'd be okay. They might have a big gaping wound. And I just think about that guy looking at his dead brother who he spent his entire life next to, and I think, did he know that he could do that? And it was just like, well, if he's dead, I'm dead. I mean, I guess you'd very much be the same person, right?
Yeah, obviously it makes sense. It's what happened. There's obviously a physical reason why that came to be, but from the outset,
what I'm saying is if you were the brother who hadn't died, do you think you'd know that, I could just sever that flap of skin now?
You're there furiously with a butter knife, like, fuck this.
No, what I'm
I
saying
know it's
is
going to go down.
What I'm saying is, do you think he knew it and he just chose to die? Is what I'm saying,
I don't know how you said they were in the 60s, maybe.
They were in their 60s. I think. I don't know. I'm not going to look it up, right? But they weren't young.
The George Rockall-Schmidt show.
They'd both been married a few times. They'd both had lives and they both had children, I think.
Oh, that's all kinds of nuts.
I mean, what do you think he knew? And
I've had like relatives die, and I've watched the decay and stuff like that.
What,
and
you mean after they're dead? Like
sorry,
no,
no,
died and then you've just stood there and been I've
watched
this.
Open casket, just like spray out my living room. I want to like conduct a few experiments here. Right, I've got my humidifier. I want to kind of see what happens over the next 3 months. All right, no one touch anything. No, nothing like that. But I'm talking about like the illness, So in one case, like someone had a stroke and they spent a lot of time in and out of hospitals over the next few months, but it was only going one way, and all that kind of stuff. But if you're not present for the moment where they're no longer a person, but this is someone. In this case, they were always there, and no matter what. And it's not just I guess they will have watched people die in their lifetime as well, getting to 60, but actually being there and essentially watching them die. Yeah, I don't know how you would bounce back from something like that. It'd be such a huge mindfuck to kind of live a life after that. Yeah. After 60 years of being connected to someone, watch that person die, and then suddenly you're on your own. Yeah,
I know. I mean, people can't fucking function after 30 years in prison. So I imagine the adjustment it would be far worse even than that.
In fact, I've talked myself around. I'm not surprised that the guy, carked it within half an hour after seeing that.
I think it was actually 2 hours looking at it now.
Oh, well, now I feel foolish.
Yeah,
2 hours is a perfectly.
That's just the story. I don't know how true that is, but that's the way the story goes. Apparently, apparently they lived to 62, which is the oldest ever recorded for conjoined twins.
I suppose that in and of itself is a fucking achievement. These guys must have spent a lot of time of their lives being told that it's not gonna. This is gonna be a lot shorter for you than everybody else. And they had a good, I suppose, remarkably good innings, right?
I don't know. I mean, this was, they were around in the 1800s. I don't know if anyone told them anything other than fucking hell.
Right, okay.
But
hit him with sticks.
But I found a story once, which I always wanted to write into a story or a novella or something, or kind of change a bit. But it's a story about this Indian kid who was born with the head of his twin on top of his own head, upside down, and just the head, right? Not the body, just the head. So they would have been like conjoined twins who had joined at the head, but the other twin didn't develop past just the head. But this kid with the fucking head of his twin, this kid died at 5 years old of a cobra bite.
You know, he would have made it to like 92 otherwise.
Like, you fucking unlucky bastard.
Oh,
it's
man.
just so, it's so bad. But anyway,
if it wasn't a cobra bite at 5, he'd have been hit by a bus when he was 14. You know, it'd still have been just as ironic.
He'd have cured cancer and AIDS and all this stuff because he'd have had 2 brains.
Oh yeah, no, he'd have been a genetic engineer. He would have grown, his brother out of that head. You know, he'd have become 2 people.
He'd have been the person who solved hunger.
Yes, because he feasts on the subspecies of humans that we are. That's exactly what happened.
That's
2 mouths.
He'd have been the person who solves hunger for himself. 2 mouths, the horror.
2 stomachs, bitch. He's always fucking hungry.
It's because your stomach is in your head. It'd be awful though if he had allergies. He'd have 2 sets of sinuses. Ooh.
Oh, that would be fucking grim. Or a cold, you know? So 2 snotty noses. It's bad enough when it's fucking dripping out your own, but I guess if with this second head on top, it's dribbling down your forehead. You're always wiping that off. Fucking hell. Terrible. You're really thinking about it, aren't you? It's like, I can almost feel it trickling.
Oh no, I'm thinking about other people who are conjoined twins. Like there was that couple who obviously weren't a couple. That'd be weird. Those people who were brother and sister who were conjoined at the head, and they were in the media for a while. I don't know what their names were. They were what I would describe as badly conjoined. They were very conjoined. And they shared a skull, and one had to sit on a seat and the other one had to stand up for them to, sort of exist outside of a fucking swimming pool. And I don't know, that's the reason to become a doctor, right? That's the reason to get into medical science, to fucking help people like that be not conjoined anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe maybe they liked it. Probably not.
No, probably not. It's different.
I've never experienced anything else, but I can tell you now, this is quite a burden.
Yeah, who's to say? It's all they
say, right?
It's all they know. It's difficult. I don't think they'd ever begrudge each other for it. How could they? But it's
all that gloom, my mate.
Oh.
Or imagine being the doctor or consultant who, when a conjoined baby is born, imagine me the doctor who has to make a decision in the first sort of 6 hours, like are we going to operate on them so one of them dies? Like are we going to favour one? Or imagine doing that. Welcome to the George Rockall-Schmidt show. It's wacky humour.
I mean, I guess there have been those calls made, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, we're a point where they would know that it was conjoined before birth, right? And I guess
maybe it's like, what the fuck is this?
There's just a curtain over the veg, and it fucking sprays out. What do we have here?
The midwife saying, "Did your specialist say anything about conjoined twins today? Were you expecting this?"
Because I only bring this up because.
Are you a fan of Cat Dog?
It's hugely overrated. Well, actually, no. I think it's adequately rated. But you know what? I still fly the fucking flag. Check out Cat Dog.
Oh, okay. Oh no, I thought you were going to say conjoined twins. Like the nurse is saying, it's hugely overrated, but fucking hell, conjoined twins, congratulations!
Look, it's more rare than winning the lottery, so it's like you've just been awarded 25 million, all right?
That's how they get out of like any sort of any financial responsibility to these people or anything. You know, oh, who's going to pay for all of this? Don't worry, you're so lucky.
It's a blessing. Oh.
It's a blessing.
I don't know. I don't think it's. I don't think it's ever like so cut and dry as these twins come out and they're both like perfectly formed and perfectly. They're equally healthy, right. And they say, well, we just decide who lives. I guess I guess they're not the first ones, obviously, but the Siamese twins, the Chang and Eng Bunker, they were called. I think they're as close to what you're talking about as has ever been recorded. And I think even then they weren't. It wasn't just like they were two blokes who had a fucking skin connection. I think they were a little. They had problems. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I imagine the fucking mum would have problems because they'd have to come out at the same time, wouldn't they?
Yeah,
that is what we call in the medical profession a mega birth.
Well,
even fucking dogs pop them out one by one. They don't come out side by side, do they? Do you see what I'm saying?
Oh, I'm just trying to picture like a dog's vag kind of dilating, and all you see like 14 puppies just shoot out simultaneously.
What did you just? I don't even know what a dog's vag looks like. I didn't know dogs had vages. I just thought they had the omni hole at the back. That they all seem so interested in.
They've got the all-purpose ass. Yes. No, I'm sorry, but I must burst that bubble.
Yeah, pop that, Royd.
Oh, now I am sad.
Would they pop? I don't think they would. I think they'd just collapse.
But nothing so quick. You'd probably have, you'd obviously kind of like destabilize the structure of it, but it wouldn't just collapse. You'd probably just, if you really want to see it like flatten out, you'd probably have to rub it a little bit, but I guess it'd be too painful for you to really go for it.
So
You'd
Damian,
have to leave it.
I'm sitting barefoot on my 6-inch shag carpet, watching an upside down Samsung television. I'm eating my bowl of fucking shit. You've walked in. You've told me that there's this film out there where Sean Connery wears a jockstrap and no trousers. And then what happened? Then we got drunk and we watched it and we were both fucking astounded, right?
Yeah, we were.
I've watched Zardoz since then, so I have seen it sober.
Yeah, it's interesting. I thought it was going to be like such schlocky B-movie crap.
Yeah, and it wasn't.
It was really interesting.
Yeah.
I rewatched it in lieu of this. I remember we kind of talked about it. Granted, we were quite incoherent at the times. We were expecting to hate it, and we expected to laugh at it, and just it would be kind of really saccharine, asinine nonsense.
I thought it would be, extremely 70s. Well, Sean Connery.
It was extremely 70s.
Sean Connery in a jockstrap, running around with fucking thigh-high boots. I thought it was going to be that, sort of. I thought it'd be a caper, or a kind of swashbuckling sci-fi.
A little bit, yeah.
Thing.
I can see that.
And
you got the gun belts, You
got the gun belt, and it's actually very
moustache.
It's very deep in the themes it explores. It's pretty nasty. It's very creative. It's not great though.
Yeah, because I think when we watched it, we came away thinking this was actually a genuinely interesting movie. I might actually like it, and I've heard people talk about Zardoz and say it's absolute fucking dog shit. And I was kind of expecting to kind of be on the same page, but we came away. It's like, actually, you know what? It's pretty interesting. I might like this. I rewatched it, and this movie fucking blows, and it blows hard, really.
Yeah.
But
That's interesting that you say that. I disagree. I think that I understand what you mean.
All right, I tell you what it is. I like a lot. As I say, it's creative in a lot of ways, right? And I think though that. I think Sean Connery was such a bad idea.
Okay.
Because
that's interesting.
I think you could have found an actor that could really get into this really weird script and everything that's going on and really kind of give it what it's due. But I think Sean Connery just wanted to be there because essentially Sean Connery's character is supposed to be like the archetypal man at its most man, just walking around.
Savage beast.
Yeah, almost. It's essentially fucking naked, and then just all these. You've got all these women that are just so uptight and repressed, and they're all coming around going, ooh, and they all secretly want him, and they submit eventually. It's like that's what he was there for, just to fucking lap that up a little bit, and the ego trip. And
it was his first movie after Bond.
He
quit Bond. Yeah,
that's really interesting as well, because it kind of feels like when you see. I think a lot of people like find out about Zardoz because they see like the picture of Sean Connery on the beach in this outfit with the gun fucking posing, and that's invariably their first experience of what Zardoz is, and
I think we should say at this point that he's dressed like that all the time.
Yeah, that's kind of bizarre actually. Now that you mention it, I didn't really think about it, but you never shake that. It's always like that.
It's always like that, and because it is an interesting movie, it's a movie set in the future where apparently society has crumbled, but the elite of society, before everything went to shit, created a bubble that they live in Scotland or somewhere. I think it's actually an island, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Ireland, I think, yeah.
Because Borman lived there. And they live in this bubble in Ireland where they live forever, and now they're all fucking incredibly bored, and they all want to die. That's the story. And Sean Connery is a savage man who climbs into a big stone floating head who these people are using to terrorize the local human survivors and control them and stop them from breeding. Is that right?
Yeah, I don't know. I was never really kind of clear on that. I wasn't even sure if it was like an interdimensional thing. You know, they talk about fucking, is it not nexuses, vortexes. Vortex 4, 5, and it's, is this just, so it's not the same planet, it's I don't know.
And it doesn't come across very well because there's no, it's one of those instances where you do need some special effects to kind of indicate, is this a different planet, I think. Maybe?
Yeah, no, I agree, but they only had, as I say, the Irish countryside to work with, so you never really understand that. Obviously, people tell you, and you obviously kind of catch up, but it doesn't really click in your head, as it were, because like you've got the prologue, and then you've got all the stuff in the villages, and then that's less than half a mile away.
In a sentence, let's say that a elite enclave is visited by a savage man, and the savage man, well, essentially takes it over and destroys it.
Yeah.
There is a better way of saying that, right?
I don't know, because again, you've got all these immortals that, as soon as Sean Connery turns up, they're begging for death, and because he's the outsider, they essentially just kind of like, they submit to him. It's just everyone is just at his fucking feet. And
I guess if we sound muddled, you obviously are very new to this podcast, but also there's so much going on in this film. I remember when we watched it, we thought that it must be based on a book, and it isn't, which actually is kind of baffling saying that out loud. Because there's so much going on, and there are these ideas where they only get a sentence. Like, when you go and see an adaptation of a book, and there's a whole chapter that they had to get rid of, but they allude to it with one sentence.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that, but there's no book. So, I've never really any idea what's going on. And I don't hate that in this film. It's just it never fucking delivers what it's...
I mean, I say I don't like this movie, but it wasn't something that's unsavory to watch. I don't know. Sorry, I've got IMDb up here now, and I found something which, I don't know, I think is starting to cement my opinion of this movie. And I've got the poster up for Zardoz, and it's got a tagline at the top here, and I'll read it to you. Beyond 1984, beyond 2001, beyond love, beyond
death. Yeah,
and I'm sorry. That's it. That has sealed it for me. That's enough. This movie can kind of fuck off just a little bit. Maybe not totally, but just a little bit. That's too much. All right.
Yes, actually, I actually.
You know what? Obviously,
I
the
agree
name
with
came
you
up,
now.
John Boorman came up, and it's like, oh, that's kind of familiar. All right, fine. And I thought this movie was just like a young guy who doesn't really kind of fancy doing his own thing.
Okay.
Yeah, and no, I didn't put it together, and I looked it up, and it's the guy that made Deliverance. Not only did he make Deliverance, he made Deliverance before this, right?
Yes, and Hell in the Pacific as well, which, and Point Blank.
Yeah, and obviously the follow-up to this was The Exorcist 2.
Well, that's awful, though.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. After this, that's what he's done. He's obviously going in a certain direction at this fucking point.
Yeah, I got it wrong as well earlier, by the way. Sean Connery did The Offense after Zardoz, and then he did...
Again...
not after Zardoz, after Bond. Imagine doing anything after Zardoz, as if you'd need to.
Well, I think I was going to mention that. That's what's really weird for Sean Connery in this movie. It's like, this is something you would do, I guess, if you weren't that well known, right? You just you're climbing your way up the ladder. You're kind of just picking up what you can when you can. But this is Sean Connery when he has just exploded. He is a household name at this fucking point. He can do anything. This is
but I think that's what it's like now when you finish Bond. I don't know if it was that clearly like that when Sean Connery finished Bond. I think that he was worried that he wouldn't work again.
I'm not surprised that Sean Connery was kind of focusing on the fame, but if you want to think, if you're an actor and you're kind of thinking artistically, you're at a point where you can kind of you can pick and choose your roles, and he chose this. I don't know what point I'm making. It's such a weird. It's a weird choice.
You're saying, why did he choose this?
Yeah.
Well, I think probably Boorman had a lot to do with it. He thought, I'll work for...
Boorman had photos that were more incriminating than what they did on that fucking beach in that mankini.
Well, no. What I'm saying is 2 years before this, he directed Deliverance. I think,
Yeah.
I'm Sean Connery that knows.
I tell you what, the Stonehead is awesome.
The Stonehead is awesome. We watched this movie and the first 10 minutes were in silence. I think the very first thing you see, as I seem to remember, is somebody talking to the screen, and it's terrible. And they're in a vignette, and it's really bad. And
not only that, it flies around the screen.
And it's like it's sort of the worst sort of poetry. It's like Year 9 poetry, and. That was like,
Uranium
oh my
234.
God, we're in for this. And then it's a shot of the landscape, and then fucking this head comes with this music, this classical music, and you think this is taking itself really seriously. And the head, it looks shit, sure, but it really works as an idea.
I don't want to say it looks shit.
It's
I got to be honest,
terrifying.
It is. Obviously, when we watched the movie that time, that was like my first impression of this movie. So I came back to it a couple of days ago after, I guess, like 7 years. And I thought that the credit sequence where that head is flying through the mist or dimensions or whatever it's supposed to be, I thought that was the beginning of the movie. I completely forgot there was, like 7 minutes of prologue before that.
Yes, so did I. And when I went and made that Zardoz vlog, really early vlog, where I didn't fucking even script them. When
I was in my bedroom.
When I was in my bedroom,
in front of my bookcase,
yeah, you can actually see my house in that. And when I did that, I remember being really fucking surprised that a director would choose to not start with this incredible image of this floating head, which is what Zardoz is now remembered for. He didn't start the movie with that. He started with completely unnecessary exposition delivered by one of the characters straight into the camera. Mm-hmm. And also floating around the screen in an obnoxious way. It just baffles me. Because
that stuff, it's shit, but it's piercing, right? It should have been piercing. It was like one face emerging out of darkness, right? Nothing else with all... And as you say, like really obnoxious, like Year 9 fucking poetry. And I feel like in hindsight, that's something that we would have been shitting on relentlessly. That's something that we should have been able to fucking remember. But obviously, when that credit sequence came in with the with the music and everything that was going. That was so fucking. It was like seminal in our fucking music. That completely overwritten that fucking bullshit that we would normally shit on aplenty.
No, and it's the same with the end, because the end, the actual
is awesome.
Final 2 minutes is unbelievably brilliant. I think it might not be technically brilliant in the way they did it.
In terms
of special effects, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, it was a lot weaker in how they actually made it, but that residual memory and what it's doing is what kind of stood really fucking strong, and
I think they
had
just
the same kind of impact.
They just fade, don't they? It's just essentially the set redressed in between fades, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. But I remember it not looking quite so cheap.
But the actual sentiment of the end is just chilling and unexpected and very powerful. It just boggles my mind that the same person who put that into their film started their film with that poetry, or had the bit I was talking about earlier with the moment where one of the immortals is mind melted by the other immortals, or whatever happens, and he starts to sort of freak out, but he overacts so badly, and obviously the director lets him overact so badly, and it's just ridiculously.
Yeah, I don't want to hold it against
sexual,
that guy, right?
But yeah, I don't want to hold it against that guy either.
Because you know what? Obviously, you have to pretend that your mind's being melted, but you're
need
at
some
this
direction
round
there.
table. Like there's 20 people that are just kind of waving their hands and
everyone's wearing
their fingers
parachute pants. You know how you meant to fucking act.
Yeah, these really like low-hanging dungarees and kind of like togas almost. It's so kind of naff, and so they're just going ooh, spooky noise.
Yeah.
And how do you react to that? You know, in any kind of fashion, let alone legitimate. How do you sell like you're essentially like slowly dying when people are doing that around you? He did the best with what he was, what he was given.
And I'm surprised that you don't like Sean Connery in this, because I thought that of Sean Connery as well. He did the best with what he was given.
I'm not sure. I
think he was phoning it in.
I haven't really seen Sean Connery in anything when he's not Sean Connery.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So, it just, for me, he just kind of turned up and just kind of, read the fucking script.
Well, who would you have in that role then? From the 70s?
I had this horrible fear that you would ask me this, because I know when I brought it up earlier that I kind of he kind of brought to bear, but I don't know. I don't have any suggestions. Really.
Well, why don't you think about it? I need to go for a piss. All right.
But we're going to leave this running. We're streaming
live.
live.
We're going to leave this running. I got an envelope the other day from, what's this say? Jim Mystic. Someone sent something in, which is a minute long. I'm going to play it now while I have a piss. I'm not going to turn off the microphone or everything. You can hear me having a piss in the background. Don't worry. I'm still here.
Okay.
All right.
It's whatever day it is. It's time for your horoscope. Gemini, May 22nd to June 21st. Difficulties you've been having with an older female family member might turn out to be quite trivial after all. Try to avoid friction-laden topics, such as that thing she said that one time, or the borrowing of small, trivial objects of little worth, even though it's the principle of the thing, damn it. Remember, even if things do get seriously heated, she'll be dead soon, so you're sure to win the long game. What a cunt. Everyone else hates her too. You're not alone in this. In other advice the stars have for you, do not sign a contract or get involved in any uncertain financial dealings. Just because they're on the money and your pop-pop's apron, remember, not every pyramid is a good pyramid. Health and well-being advice from the stars this week. Problems with skin, bones and or teeth may play havoc with your schedule, but only if they are found. Be sure to hide them well. The stars indicate your lucky day this week is Friday. Your lucky number, 27. and your lucky time, 3:42 in the AM. Goodbye.
Patrick McGowan.
Patrick McGowan? No way! He can't. He's not a savage, hairy man.
No,
you need a
he's-
hairy man, Damien.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking about. I'm just kind of thinking with like the performances around Sean Connery,
Right.
and particularly like obviously.
Well, why not
with-
Peter Falk?
Oh my God!
God.
Yes,
Yes, and he's in the fucking Columbo suit.
yes.
He is Columbo.
But he's got the gun belts. You know, we're gonna do a little bit of a crossover. Okay.
He's got the gun belts. He refused to wear a jockstrap, but he did agree on a trench coat.
But
and
you
a
know,
cigar.
He made a certain concession. There are no trousers. Okay?
And by the
He's
way, 'cause he definitely wants to do it, but he's still doing Columbo, so you're gonna have to shoot his bits in LA and make it look like Ireland.
No, I think I think he's a bit of a workhorse. He'd come across. He's not that much. He'd do it. What are you talking about?
I think he would have done it, but I think that this would be by far the worst film he'd ever be in. I mean, Peter Falk's in some pretty kind of obscure European films, isn't he? Where he was obviously just like in Germany for the day and did a bit of filming. And I've seen him in loads of stuff, but I don't know. I think he's a bit better than this.
What about if you roided out Malcolm McDowell? Yeah,
I am your president.
I wanted to
Johnny
mention it as soon
Stanley.
as you said Enclave. I went back in time.
When did I say Enclave?
Talking about an enclave of elite, such and such and such. And then I just
Okay. Yeah. Malcolm McDowell, but wearing, his white jockstrap and a bowler hat.
that'd be perfect. Like a really savage, so like a masculine savage, like a really, just a
teen.
young, drunk,
Yeah.
fucking, just aggressive little shit.
Just a little shit, yeah. Someone who beats up tramps.
Yeah, someone that's
And they're all
just
like,
vying
stay
to
off the
kill.
nail. Yeah. What about Burt Reynolds?
I'd limited my thinking to British actors, but
Okay. Yeah.
but I don't know. Burt Reynolds could do the right stash for the role, I think.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I've got it. I just can't remember the dude's name.
Peter Cushing.
Oh, that'd be amazing. And he's wearing that a tiny little jockstrap. He's got,
My god!
Oh, man,
Something more
skeleton
painful
body.
than fucking Sean Connery.
He looks frozen. No, I'm sorry. The name, I can't think of the name. Oh, that's it. Seriously, Richard Attenborough.
Richard Attenborough. Okay.
Yeah, I think I think that guy is so fucking menacing.
Really? Okay.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You tell me what's it? 11 Rillington Place. I still haven't checked that out yet.
Oh no,
I've got-
hang on. 10 Rillington Place.
10 Rillington Place. Sorry. I'm only familiar with Richard Attenborough in his later roles. I know him as a director, obviously his early stuff, but as an actor, I just think of Jurassic Park, really. So I don't really get the menace. But I'll have to kind of rely on your experience with that one.
You know, I didn't actually mean Richard Attenborough. I got the wrong person. Yeah,
Okay.
I know. It's kind of.
Who are you think? I was thinking of David
I
Attenborough.
was thinking of someone very fucking different, actually.
Who are you thinking of?
I was thinking of Richard Burton.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yes, I think he'd be great in that.
That
role.
would be fucking superb. That would.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think this movie would have been anywhere near. I mean, the movie's a laughing stock. I think it's fair to say, but
You're really negative on it. I thought you liked it more than that.
I thought I did too. I watched it back and
I watched it. I watched it after we watched it getting drunk. I watched it years after that, and I had fonder memories. And then I watched it before I did the vlog on it ages ago, and what really surprised me was how boring it was.
Yeah. I think that's what I need to make clear. It's not necessarily bad. It just wasn't entertaining.
No, there are moments which are like super entertaining, like the head. But
no, sorry. The most entertaining moment in this, but there are two in my reckoning.
The beginning and the end.
No. I thought that's what it would be.
Yeah.
But no, it's when one of the scientist ladies, May, it's like, well, we need you to come to the laboratory or whatever it is. It's like, so we're in the garden. If you want to go to this laboratory, you have to go through this pyramid thing. It's a warp panel. It'll take you to somewhere else.
Uh-huh.
And Sean Connery goes up to this giant glass pyramid, and he's obviously given the direction that as soon as you step into it, you're being transported to another room. So can you make us believe that, Mr. Connery? And like Sean Connery walks up to this thing, and you can see he just like kneels down. He throws up his arms in the air and just gives this like whoa, dodgy fucking face. And it's slapstick, is what it is. It's like so out of fucking place. It's so naff. And for me, that was a standout moment. I laughed fucking wholeheartedly for quite a long time after seeing that. And the other one, I think, is...
It sounds like we really don't rate Sean Connery as an actor, do we?
I mean,
everything you're saying now, I'm just starting to think about him and...
Well, I'm trying to think of things Sean Connery's been in, which, he's kind of...
Good in.
He's... Yeah, good in, really, but he's not.
He was good as Bond, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He just was Bond. He was just the first guy to play Bond, and everyone's like, yeah, that's what Bond should be like. He played him like that.
Yeah,
and then they meet him, and it's like,
he was the
you
baseline.
Really... Yeah, he was the baseline, basically, right?
I've never, I mean, and that's fine. He was, he was suave, he was charming. He's
definitely got something though. He's got screen presence, hasn't he?
Of course,
I think in fucking Zardoz, he's quite smouldering actually.
Oh really?
Yeah, I do a little bit. Yeah.
He's got all
that fucking shoulder hair really gets my goat.
Ooh.
It really gets my vag wet.
Oh, callback, nice.
Yes,
that fucking creams my corn.
Yeah.
Yeah, just fucking reel from that a little bit.
I am.
Obviously, I've been shitting on him a little bit, but I can't deny that he is incredibly charismatic, and there's a reason that he's been so iconic. But it's just my point being is that there has been a definitive role, but not something where he's been something other than his
Bond.
something other than.
Bond, something other than Bond.
Yeah. Essentially, his persona, Sean Connery. He's always just there. He's got that obviously incredibly distinct voice. He's never been anything other than Scottish, with that quite peculiar Scottish accent at that. It's always he talks as he talks. I've never seen him act beyond that.
I think that if I had the ability to go back in time and replace people with other people, I would probably scrub Sean Connery out of existence and make Billy Connolly into the first on-screen Bond.
Oh, so
maybe not scrub Sean Connery out of existence, but give him another job. He's a pretty successful glazer. All right.
Okay. So I imagine Billy Connolly is substantially younger. So we're getting a teenager in to play Bond in this thing. Or are you taking like
Billy Connolly, he's like born 30 and then he stays 30 for about 50 years.
Really?
Right? So he can do everything else. Because obviously he's got to be in Fido.
Yeah, we can't fuck with that.
Can't fuck with that.
That needs a fucking rewatch because I was barely present when we watched that movie.
Yeah, really? What a picture you paint. It's just people just must have an image of you and I collapsed on a sofa like with fucking opium pipes.
Well, that was kind of what was going on.
Ken Nordine in the background.
Yeah, baby. You were so disappointed that evening because you had raved about Fido. So we had this bookcase.
And then I watched it and it wasn't as good as I remembered.
No. You told me about it. We sat down and watched it. And I just fucking passed out. And I got the beginning and I got the end. It's like, for fuck's sakes, piss off. Why did I put this on? And you were so it's really rare that you're enthusiastic about a movie, because obviously we had this bookcase in our living room, and there were a handful of DVDs on there, 10 at best, and you had some very classic movies in here. I used to buy shitloads of all kinds of nonsense. You know, I had this big case full of them, hundreds of the fuckers. You bought DVDs on or Blu-rays on a very rare occasion.
No, I don't own any Blu-rays, I don't think.
They were very choice selections, and you had all. It was kind of a who's who of classic movies, and this Fido always stuck out because not only were they classic movies, but obviously the cases themselves were obviously quite demure and low key, black, like Times New Roman fonts, all this kind of stuff. Always very kind of austere presentation on the what would you call it? Not the sleeve, on the what would you call the side of the sleeve?
On the jacket.
On the jacket, yeah.
But right next to my Edwardian 4-poster Omni/Core seat.
So yeah, you had this collection of DVDs on this bookcase. Again, a very specific choice of movie, and they all looked the same. Fido, however, had this big neon red fucking jacket with the title of the movie written out on the side of the jacket there, and what essentially could have been the same font they wrote the Flintstones in. Yeah. Basically, it's really goofy, and it's like I would scratch my head for a long fucking time. It's like this seems really 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 weird, and I pick it up. Billy Connolly. It's like, this looks like trash.
Yeah, I guess it does, doesn't it?
And you'd be like, no, it's really, really, really good. Oh, okay, well, we'll check it out. Okay, fine. And then, the same conversation would come up in some other form, a couple of weeks down the line. So, yeah, no, we'll definitely watch it. And this it takes 8 months before we get to this point where we finally sit down and fucking watch it. And then I get 20 minutes into this movie, and I'm fucking sparker. And when I finally do come back round, it's like, you fucking twat. I can't believe this. It'd been hyped for so fucking long, and with that in mind, I still was so
you've still never seen it?
I've still never seen it properly.
I don't think it is that good. I can't remember. I've not seen it in a while. The thing is for me, Fido it's one of those films that I found by accident on TV, I think, and I just switched a channel on and it was on, and I thought, what's this? And I ended up watching it, and it was one of those rare films that I watched by accident and really liked and made me laugh, and it was unexpected.
Okay.
And I don't know anything about it. I've never looked it up or anything. I've never looked up the story behind it or why it seemingly didn't get much of a release or anything. I don't know. I just like it existing. Being one of those rare films that exists without me kind of feeling like I want to know more about it or have to know more about it to understand how it fits in with other stuff. I just like that it exists, and I just thought...
That's enough.
I just like that Billy Connolly took this role where he doesn't have a single line other than because he plays a zombie. I just thought it was a fun idea. I'm sure if I looked at it now, it wouldn't be quite as great as I remember, but I like the spirit behind it.
Yeah, I think you're in dangerous territory now when you said you haven't watched it in a while, because it may not hold up. I don't know. Maybe you just have to abstain just to kind of maintain that thought in your head, because it could come crumbling down. But
I think it would. I don't think it is as good as. I haven't watched it in years, so I don't think it is as good as I remember it being. I remember watching it and thinking to myself, I'm glad films with this sense of humour can exist.
Okay.
I think it's witty in a rare way.
Impossible to understand beige.
Looking back at Zardoz, it's schizophrenic in the way it at times appears deep and meaningful and then just terrible. It feels as though I should be saying, oh, they got this scene right because they got lucky. But it almost seems like that happens too frequently for it to be luck. It's like it's been directed by two different people at times.
I wouldn't have gone with that
Okay.
that analogy. Two different people directing it, but I will say that the quality does fucking skyrocket and dive quite a lot because again, a lot of the ideas, probably like throughout the movie, are really interesting. It's just the execution is just all over the place, and
Yeah.
again, sometimes it's down to I keep saying Sean Connery, but obviously there's a moment where like Sean Connery goes into this pyramid, which is incredibly goofy, or when we kind of discover what Zardoz is, and Sean Connery is like rifling through a library, and he finds out that the guy that has been tormenting his like subspecies of people has based this lie off a book, and they do this kind of big build up. What is the book? And like the movie at this point has tried to be so allegorical up until this point. It's like, oh, and I'd forgotten this when I rewatched it as well. So I guess it's going to be like the Bible or something really obnoxious or something like that. No, it's the Wizard of Oz, right?
Yeah.
Right, and obviously. And then the movie makes a big point of saying, like, well, that's where the name Zardoz comes from. It's a bastardization of Zardoz. Yeah. But what they do is they have this, like, nice close-up of the book where you can see it. And then they have Sean Connery, like, cover up
Put a
the
sausage finger over the fucking of.
Yeah. Like, after they've, like, pulled in on the fucking book as well. So you could get it without that. But then you hold on it and then they make a point of like connecting the dots in front of you. It's like, oh, for fuck's sakes!
And it's weird to think that's the fucking smoking gun. I've just learnt to read. I'm a savage person who's found this library and taught himself to read. And I found a book and it's called The Wizard of Oz. And oh my god, if I put my thumb over of, that says Zardoz.
Yeah.
Or Wizardoz. Or Wizardoz of. Wizard of Oz. Wizard of Oz.
And it's moments like that which are just so poorly handled. It's like maybe you don't even have Sean Connery discover that. If you just had like the book on the table and you could just see the spine,
and then people could think, is that where the name's from?
Yeah.
Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Yeah.
And that would be enough. But
because there's no reason it has to be called Zardoz.
No, not at all.
You know, you could just say it's called Zardoz. There's no reason it's called Zardoz. We just fucking called it Zardoz.
Yeah. I guess they kind of do this thing, well, it's about a man behind the curtain pulling the strings, but, you know, but that's not really what the movie's about anyway. So it could have been any book.
Ooh, we deceived you. Ooh. It's like...
Yeah, so, again, interesting ideas, but just, like, so fucking ham-fisted the whole time. I really like the seniors in the movie. They just have this refuge when people are punished.
Seniors? Did you call them seniors?
Seniors, yeah. It's old people. Whatever. Elders. But when they have punished and they just melt, they rapidly age, melt half of one side of his face. It was cheap, but I quite like that. Again, it's interesting ideas, but just not well handled, and it's just kind of.
But you know what? It's like looking at old episodes of The Twilight Zone. You know, where you kind of think, oh, that's a really kind of interesting idea, but Jesus. Yeah,
but you know, in defense of The Twilight Zone, the Twilight Zone had a much better through line, which this movie doesn't really have.
Oh no, I'm not dissing the Twilight Zone. I'm just saying that, you know, I specifically remember that episode where there's those two. Well, there's that alien, and it's got two heads that talk to each other, and it's just two people in a body. I'm saying, like, it's a neat idea, but it looks absolutely ridiculously bad.
I remember that because I guess it was like 10 years ago.
Come down and watch The Twilight Zone with me, lads. I'm Damian's dad, by the way. Nice to meet you.
Yeah,
Nice to meet you.
Exactly that. Yeah, we had this fucking box set. I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. You turn it over, you look at the back, and there's this tiny thumbnail of this like naff fucking plastic alien with two heads. I'm like, Damon, we have to watch this right now.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to point out that a mere cursory glance of Wikipedia tells us that the character that Sean Connery played in Zardoz was going to be played by... you know, what I was going to say before we go is I'm just thinking back, and what is good about Zardoz? I guess it's there's two moments in Zardoz, right? There's the end, the nothing means anything, we're all going to die, isn't this horrible, but this is just the fact of life end, and a big flying head.
Yeah.
Right? And they're the two good things in this film. Everything else is kind of pants.
Well, I think...
Also, on the Zardoz Wikipedia, right at the bottom, it says see also, and the only thing under that heading is flying head.
That has to be the thumbnail for this episode, no?
Well, I don't know. What's more iconic? What's more memorable? Is it the flying head, or is it Sean Connery in his gusset thing?
I would say the jockstrap, really.
Okay, you would.
Yeah, I think people know the floating head, but I don't think they necessarily attribute it to Zardoz straight off the bat. But I think if you say Zardoz to a lot of people, they'll say Sean Connery in that fucking sarong or whatever.
Well, do you have anything else to add about Zardoz?
I'd like to kind of just kind of gloss over the fact that it's a movie that has what is presented as Sean Connery raping a woman on the beach, footage of that twice in the movie, and no one kind of bats an eyelid.
Well, I mean, he's not a good guy, is he? He's a raper. They know what he is. He's a raper, and they kind of like that, don't they? Up on the Enclave.
It's not even matter of fact. It's.
I mean, do you know what? I like the stuff like that because it's so matter of fact. Like, there's a bit where Sean Connery shoots someone in the back of their head. When it shows footage of his previous life, when he was, well, essentially a bandit terrorizing normal people. I like that because it builds up this kind of this thing of Sean Connery being this horrible fucking savage, and then it does nothing with it.
Yeah, no, I tell you what, isn't that? I wouldn't say it is matter of fact because you see it twice in the movie.
No, it is matter of fact, and I'm saying I like it because of that.
I don't know because I had a different. The presentation on the screen is quite like that, but lest we forget, Sean Connery is on this slab, lying back, obviously having his brain fucking vacuumed out, so they get the memories out. But he's lying there with his hands behind his head, looking pretty fucking gleeful about the whole fucking, so fucking relaxed and kind of. Yeah, like,
it's a sect act.
Yeah, it's like, I took the woman. I'm like, oh, man. He's just there, again, hands behind his head. It's like, damn, a real fucking ego trip. This is, I don't know, this is a...
Well, I thought it was...
bitter taste in the mouth.
I thought it was the film...
I get that, but I feel like he would just have his hands by his sides if he was lying on a table. But again,
Sean Connery was getting off on the fact that his character had raped someone.
That's kind of what I'm... Yeah, a little bit. Again,
but why? Why do you think that?
It's the hands behind the head. The way he's lying down is like
the way
so
he's
kind of
constantly
casual.
breaking character and looking right into the camera and going, "I'm Sean Connery, and everyone will do what I say."
I'm Irish, don't you know?
And we'll be sitting down at 8 p.m. promptly to watch The Twilight Zone. We will be doing that with Jack the Rat, who I consider, frankly, a member of the family, Damien, a member of the family.
Yes, so we will.
So I don't know what the fuck happened to that right at the end. So we will.
Well,
so we will, Paddy Constantine. Paddy Constantinople.
Paddy Helsinki. All right.
Anyway. Paddy Cosine Tangent.
Ah, that's good. I can't remember the other one. So I'm lost. So you've won that one.
The other one would be Paddy Synecdoche. Paddy Symbiosis. Paddy photosynthesis.
Osmosis.
Paddy Osmosis Jones. That's it. That's the end of the episode, I guess. What was I saying?
You were saying absolutely nothing.
Oh.